Good afternoon. Welcome, family, friends, faculty, and Yale School of Medicine class of 2024. To the family members and friends, this moment has come about because of the love, support, and values you have given these graduates. All of us owe you a debt of gratitude. To start our ceremony today, I would like to introduce John Lyon Havlik and Ragini Luthra Vaidya. John and Ragini were chosen by their fellow students to give the invocation. John will do his residency training in psychiatry at Stanford Healthcare, and Ragini will train in emergency medicine at Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. John and Ragini, I invite you to the stage to give the invocation, and following the invocation, we will have the class of 2024 musical piece, Landslide, performed by John Andrews, Chinye Ilgier, and Lauren Smith.
Dearest classmates, family, friends, distinguished faculty, staff, welcome. Thank you for being here. Today we celebrate earning the title of doctor. It has been a long road here for each of us, and it has been an honor to be on this journey with all of you. A few short months ago in our capstone course, Dr. Ben Doolittle had us revisit John Stone's poem Gaudeamus Igitur, which means, therefore, let us rejoice. We were transported back in time to our first day of orientation, seated in Sterling Library, room 115, taking turns reading aloud the same poem. Rereading Gaudeamus Igitur now, some lines resonated just as strongly, reminding us how this career will always hold that buzzing newness on the horizon. Other lines brought the realization of how far we've come since that day, how far from our first-year selves we are now. We would like to share some of those words with you now. For this is the day you know too little, against the day when you will know too much. For you will be invincible and vulnerable in the same breath, which is the breath of your patience. Now, we each know at least 7 qualifiers, 4 clerkships, and 2 USMLE exams more compared to that day. Woo! And yet, we can each admit we know a fraction of what we would want to in order to become the physicians we aspire to be. There are the further unknowns of what medicine itself will look like, with the basic practice of medicine under attack in many states. But this lifetime of learning, adapting, and questioning are what the Yale system, with all its freedoms and challenges, has been preparing us for. We have faith that each of you will continue to pursue endless knowledge with compassion and humility in the service of your patients' well-being.
For there are all kinds of and all degrees of joy. For love is the highest joy. For which reason, the best hospital is a house of joy, even with rooms of pain and loss. The pandemic was brutal, but was also a time many of us gave our all to reduce this pain and loss. Looking out into this crowd, Ragini and I see leaders who fought to get healthcare workers safety equipment, and others who adapted the student-run free clinic to care for New Haven's most vulnerable patients. We see talented scientists who published cutting-edge research on this new disease, supplying us all with information in the face of uncertainty. We see writers and great communicators who used their creative skills to bring communities together and educate in times of crisis. In this difficult time that we endured together, each of us demonstrated love in the ways that we knew how. Let us continue on our hardest days to share this love and skill. For there will be arts, and some will call them soft data, whereas in fact they are the hard data by which our lives are lived. The moments we have shared here at Yale are difficult to quantify, soft data points which have defined our lives. We have witnessed each other find our passions, struggling through fear of failure or uncertainty, and of ourselves been witnessed doing the same. We've had countless early mornings and late nights together, days that may not have felt important at the time, but were filled with formative experiences. You have over 100 classmates sitting here today who you've shared memories with over your time at Yale, who would be happy to hear from you at any time. For the days will run together in gallops, and the years will go by as fast as the speed of thought, which is faster than the speed of light. In what feels like the blink of an eye, here we are at the end, or the beginning, depending on how you look at it. We cannot have completed this journey and begun our new journey as physicians without the endless support we have received at every turn. We are so grateful for each of you. To all our custodial and security staff, thank you. To all the staff on the second and third floor of Harkness, the Center for Medical Education, and the library, thank you. To our esteemed professors, mentors, and deans, thank you. And finally, to our beloved families and friends, thank you.
Class of 2024, let us aspire to be compassionate healers, pioneering scientists, and above all, humble and kind human beings. For what matters finally is how the human spirit is spent. For this is the day of joy, for this is the morning to rejoice, for this is the beginning. Therefore, let us rejoice. Gaudiamus igitur. Thank you.
John, Chinya, Lauren, thank you so much. It is now my honor to introduce to you the distinguished faculty joining us today. Please stand as I call your name, and I will ask the audience to hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Dr. Jessica Aluzzi, Deputy Dean for Education, oversees all aspects of medical student education as well as graduate medical education in our Physician Associate program. And in this capacity, she ensures that our students receive the best education anywhere. Dr. John Francis, Associate Dean for Student Affairs, counsels, guides, and supports our students through their medical school education. Dr. Michael Schwartz, Associate Dean for Curriculum, assures that our courses and other educational activities are relevant and address the issues our students will face in their quest to become outstanding physicians. Our academic advisors, who going forward will be known as heads of the advising colleges, Patrick O'Connor, Michael O'Brien, Karen Jubanik, Jeanette Tetro, Susan Kashoff, and Henry Park, have helped our students steer their academic and career pathways through medical school into residencies and future careers. Dr. Erica Herzog and Dr. Servat Chaudhry are Associate Deans of the Office of Student Research, responsible for helping students access research opportunities culminating in the completion of their theses, one of the unique aspects of an education at Yale School of Medicine. And Dr. Barbara Kazmierzak directs the MD-PhD program at Yale. This program, which provides formal training in biomedical research as well as medicine, is one of the oldest such programs in the country and has an outstanding track record of training physician scientists. Dr. Laura Ment, our Associate Dean for Admissions and Financial Aid, oversees the admissions process and is responsible for gathering the remarkable students who compose our classes, including this class of 2024. Dr. Marietta Vasquez, Associate Dean for Student Diversity. She coordinates activities in the areas of recruitment, retention, and professional development for students who are underrepresented historically in medicine. Dr. Mac Griffiths, MD, class of 1966, and the president of the Association of Yale Alumni in Medicine. And Dr. Francis Collins, our commencement speaker, who served as director of the National Institutes of Health under 3 presidents, and I will say more about Dr. Collins shortly. Please join me in acknowledging these individuals who together have made major contributions, frequently behind the scenes, to the excellence of Yale School of Medicine and the education of our graduates. The next portion of the program is named Welcome and Reflections. And as I was thinking about this, I reflected on how you, class of 2024, and I began our journey at Yale together. Members of this class either joined right before or after I began as dean, depending on whether you took the 5-year track or the 4-year track. Those of you who began in August 2020 started classes virtually, with a few of the intrepid among you voluntarily joining some in-person classes, wearing masks, undoubtedly experiencing surprise at the height or some other aspect of your classmates in 3 dimensions. We gathered in the evening in groups of no more than 10, without any food other than a dessert to go, in compliance with university guidelines. It was not ideal, but it would be folly to think that these were uniquely difficult times in human history, as those who have come before us have risen above similar challenges. Over the last 4 years, you have overcome the constraints imposed by COVID to become physicians. you have also wrestled with the role of physicians in society, in combating racism of all forms, in considering the rights of women and the medical ethics of abortion, creating a community that is inclusive and fair, and struggling with the tension between deeply held personal beliefs and your professional responsibility to care for all. You have taught us how to listen and how to hear what is behind the words. You have also learned to think critically and to probe deeply, to ask tough questions, understanding that the simplest answers are not always the correct answers. Only through such an agnostic approach, open to all possibilities, will we solve the problems of medicine and humanity. This is the rationale behind the Yale system. Just as a physician, you must never take the evidence at face value. You must also embrace the human being who is your patient unconditionally with full acceptance. Likewise, as a class, you have transitioned from making demands to listening and engaging in respectful dialogue. You have demonstrated time and time again that it is possible to disagree passionately while caring for the individuals with whom you disagree. And you have done this with humor and with grace. In so doing, you've set an example for us, and you give us hope in the future. For this reason, I feel confident that you understand the oath to which you will swear later today when you will say, "We pledge to dedicate our practice of medicine to the sick and vulnerable with full commitment to the ideal that all humans are deserving of care. And we pledge to respect patients with beliefs and identities other than our own." As you emerge into the next phase of training, hold fast to those dual values of critical thinking and respect for others. And if you feel you are losing touch with them, please reach out to those who surround you today. We will remind you of what you have taught us. Thank you. I will now present the Teaching Awards for 2024. Teaching and those who excel at it are highly valued at Yale School of Medicine and are the cornerstones of the foundation upon which this school is built. The Charles W. Baumfalk Prizes for Teaching. One prize is given to a faculty member teaching in the basic sciences and one to a faculty member teaching in the clinical sciences. Medical students and faculty members were asked to nominate deserving teachers, and a committee consisting of faculty and students reviewed the responses and made the final selections. In the basic sciences, this year's award goes to Dasakumar Navaratnam, Department of Neurology. One nominator noted, under his leadership, the unit has received some of the strongest student reviews of any of the integrated workshops, lectures, and team-based learning activities, and he is a consistent presence, ensuring a steady, high quality of instruction. Kumar, please come up. This year, the Baumfalk Award in the clinical science will go to Catherine McKenzie, Department of Medicine, Division of General Internal Medicine. A student noted, her passion for the rights of asylum seekers shines through, and in participating in medical evaluations with her, I've developed great skills in trauma-oriented patient contact and dealing with survivors of violence who experience PTSD. Catherine, would you join us? The Leonard Toe Humanism in Medicine Award, presented by the Arnold P. Gold Foundation, recognizes and honors a faculty member who has demonstrated particular compassion and sensitivity in the delivery of care to patients. This year, the award goes to Ebony Dix, Department of Psychiatry. One student wrote, "I have never seen a physician more dedicated to the care of their patients than Dr. Ebony Dix. As an attending on the geriatric psychiatry inpatient unit, Dr. Dix not only provided excellent clinical care to her patients, spending long hours in discussion with each, she truly cared for each individual as a whole patient, bringing in clothes, crosswords, and books that she purchased for them." Ebony? The Leah Lowenstein Award is presented annually at a graduation to the Yale School of Medicine faculty member who is the model of a medical educator whose humane teaching reaches and influences all students regardless of gender, race, or socioeconomic background. These are the traits espoused by the late Leah Lowenstein, a medical educator and first female dean of a coeducational medical school. This year, the Leah Lowenstein Award goes to Kelly Olino of the Department of Surgery. A student wrote, "As a female medical student entering surgery, Dr. Olino is the real ideal role model. She is accessible, wise, incredibly thoughtful with her trainees. She has personally provided me with unparalleled opportunities to succeed both in and outside of the operating room, and I firmly believe she stands as a paragon of mentorship at the Yale School of Medicine." Kelly. The Alvin R. Feinstein Award is awarded annually to a Yale School of Medicine faculty member chosen by the chairs and faculty of the clinical departments and members of the graduating class as the outstanding teacher of clinical skills. I am pleased to share that the winner of the 2024 Alvin Feinstein Award is Scott Casper, Department of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Reproductive Sciences. Student wrote, "Dr. Casper is an excellent facilitator. I appreciated how he approached the nuanced topic of family planning with grace, offering insights to us as we navigated such serious, rich cases. He encouraged us to give in-depth feedback to each other, and to think about how each of the scenarios from various angles as a way to investigate our own inner biases and thought processes." Scott, please join us. I would now like to invite back to the podium John and Ragini, the class co-presidents, who will present awards voted on by the graduating class.
As class co-presidents, Ragini and I have been honored to represent the graduating class of 2024. We are so proud to be part of this class and would like to thank you all for this privilege. We'd also like to thank everyone here at Yale who helped bring our education to life and to express our immense gratitude to the school's administration who ensured that we would all be standing up here today.
On behalf of our class, we would like to present the following awards to two individuals who have contributed greatly to our medical training. The Francis Gilman Blake Award is presented annually to a member of the faculty of the School of Medicine designated by the graduating class as the most outstanding teacher of the medical sciences. This award has been given out here at Yale since 1952, with the first winner being Dr. Klatskin, the namesake of Yale New Haven Hospital's liver service. This year's award goes to a faculty member who has been an exceptional mentor in both the professional and personal spheres. He goes above and beyond to help students achieve their own goals and puts incredible time and energy into each and every one of his mentees, all while running the cardiac intensive care unit. We are honored to present this year's Francis Gilman Blake Award as nominated by the class of 2024 to Dr. Elliot Miller. Please join us in congratulating Dr. Miller.
The Betsy Winters House Staff Award is presented annually to a member of the Yale New Haven Medical Center House staff who, as an excellent educator and role model, has made the most significant contribution to medical student education. The award this year goes to a resident from the Department of Medicine. He has been involved with medical students at every stage of training and has balanced the three competing demands of mentorship, education, and patient care in an exceptional manner that should serve as an exemplar to his peers, with his trademark style of instant camaraderie and humility. We are proud on this day to honor one of Yale's finest resident trainees and a role model to so many of us. We fervently hope he continues to make helping learners in medicine a large part of his career. Please join us in congratulating Dr. Jonathan Yao, winner of this year's Betsy Winters House Staff Award, as nominated by the class of 2024. Dr. Yao, please come forward.
Thank you, John and Ragini. Each year, our graduating class elects the commencement speaker. This year, the class chose, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Francis Collins. Dr. Collins received a BS in chemistry from the University of Virginia. He went on to graduate as a doctor of philosophy in physical chemistry from Yale in 1974. But during his time at Yale, he was inspired by a course in biochemistry, and this led him to enroll in medical school at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, earning his MD degree there in 1977. Dr. Collins completed his clinical training and returned to Yale from 1981 to 1984, where he worked with Dr. Sherman Weissman, developing methods in genetics that led him subsequently to discover genes related to cystic fibrosis, Huntington's, neurofibromatosis, MEN type 1, a form of AML, progeria, and I probably left out a few. Dr. Collins is renowned for his pioneering contributions to genomics and his leadership in advancing our understanding of the human genome. He was director of the National Human Genome Research Institute from 1993 to 2008, and of course, during his leadership, the Human Genome Project, an international endeavor to map and sequence the entirety of the human genome, reached its triumphant culmination. His vision and unwavering commitment to collaboration were instrumental in this historic achievement, marking a watershed moment in the annals of modern science. In 2009, Dr. Collins assumed the role of Director of the National Institutes of Health, a role that would span 12 years and 3 presidencies, making him the longest-serving director. As a renowned geneticist, Dr. Collins promoted the integration of genomics into medicine and healthcare. He championed efforts to advance genomic research and its application in understanding disease mechanisms, disease, and treatment. And he played a pivotal role in launching precision medicine initiatives to collect and analyze genetic health and lifestyle data to advance personalized healthcare. During the COVID pandemic, Dr. Collins led the NIH's effort to accelerate research into the SARS-CoV-2 virus to develop diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines. His leadership and vision have had a lasting impact on the field of biomedical science. Dr. Collins' enduring legacy extends far beyond his scientific achievements. He is a beacon of inspiration for aspiring scientists and a transformative figure whose indelible mark on biomedical research will resonate for generations to come. Dr. Collins, with the class of 2024, I welcome you today as our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Dean Brown, for a very generous introduction, and to the faculty, and especially to the students and to the families and the friends. I am honored indeed to be here today as your speaker. Congratulations to the graduates of 2024. Let's applaud for you, huh? And to your families, who deserve a special shout out for the many sacrifices they have made to make this day possible. So it's a little intimidating to figure out what I can say to you at this particular moment, recognizing that speeches at commencement ceremonies are among the most forgettable rhetorical contributions in all of human history. Your senior class presidents, John and Ragini, who you've just heard from a couple of times, suggested I should reflect on what this same milestone felt like for me. And that was 47 years ago at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Yes, I do remember that day, though I have no idea who was the commencement speaker. Will you? Huh? I confess what I do remember, and I had spent much of the preceding week apologizing to certain UNC faculty who had been skewered in the senior show that I had a lot to do with writing and directing. We thought we'd really toned it down, but apparently they didn't agree. Hopefully your own senior show, which I understand featured a whodunit involving the LCME accreditation officer, really? It didn't require, hopefully, the same number of apologies. Actually, class of 2024, I heard it was an awesome musical production, bringing the whole class together after way too many months, even years of isolation during COVID. So well done on that. Yeah. Looking across this wonderful set of graduates, 103 of you, I'm guessing that many of you are trying to imagine today what your long-term professional journey might look like. You know what you're doing next month, but what about in 10 years? I was wondering that too in 1977. I had arrived at a calling to medicine rather late after first obtaining this PhD in physical chemistry right here at Yale that you heard about. My transition to medical school was a bit radical change in life plan. But once I got into medicine, I loved it. By medical school graduation, I was already a husband and a dad with 2 small daughters. With residency looming, I was worried about how I was going to be able to handle a night call every second or third night and still spend time with them. And I was also in the middle of a personal worldview battle. My atheism had crumbled during medical school. Faced with really profound questions like, is there a God? And what's the meaning of life? And what's the basis of morality? I was increasingly feeling a call to become a believer. And that call turned out to be irresistible. And a few months later, I became a Christian. So while that was going on, and that commencement day, my long-term future was full of uncertainty. What I did know was that I was heading into a residency in internal medicine, but I also knew I was really interested in the science of genetics, and I had hopes that someday, somehow, this might connect more broadly with clinical medicine. Most of my friends and professors thought that was pretty unlikely, and one could hardly blame them. As I walked across a stage like this to receive my diploma, No single human had ever uttered together the 3 words, Human Genome Project. It was not even a thought. So then what? Well, after residency and chief residency, I wanted to plunge into medical genetics. I wanted a fellowship that would teach me molecular biology at the bench and clinical genetics in the hospital. I wanted to get this training in the best place in the world. So I came here to Yale, to Lyon Rosenberg's Department of Human Genetics. There were just 2 problems with my vision. First of all, the majority of the genetics patients I was asked to see in my first few weeks were in the newborn ICU. I'm used to big people. How do you do a physical exam on an infant no bigger than your hand? For a guy who thought he was pretty good doc already, this was requiring some humble realignment. And then there was the lab part. I'd read a lot of papers about molecular genetics, but remember, my PhD's in quantum mechanics, not all that directly relevant. I'd never actually done this stuff. I wasn't even quite sure how to operate a pipette, man. I didn't know how to turn on the autoclave. So, hoping to learn as fast as I could, I joined the highly competitive lab of Sherman Weissman. His lab was full of highly trained and highly productive postdocs. I could tell Sherman was incredibly smart. I just couldn't figure out most of the time what he was talking about. My bench was set up in a decommissioned P3 lab on the first floor of the Sterling Hall of Medicine, not far from here. One of the Japanese postdocs, thank God, took pity on me and helped me with the basics. Sherman assigned me a project that seemed truly exciting, to test out a new cloning vector that would make it possible to purify long segments of human DNA, maybe 25 kilobases, longer than in any other cloning vectors available at that time. If the vector worked, lots of other labs would want to use it. I was really psyched, working many nights until 4 a.m., though my profound inexperience in the lab meant a lot of experiments flopped. But after 6 months, the time came where I was ready to conduct the definitive experiment. With high hopes this would prove the vector would work. Then I would write a scintillating paper, and the world would take notice, right? Well, at the end of that week, the experiment was finished. This time, there were no technical disasters. The results were conclusive. It was a complete and utter disaster. A fatal flaw in the vector design was revealed. There was no possibility of salvaging this project. I was utterly devastated. Not wanting the other lab members to see my distress, I confess I hid in a stall in the men's room and had a good cry. I resolved to let my mentor to know of my failure, and I expected it was probably time to leave the program. To my surprise, neither my mentor nor the department chair seemed at all rattled by this. Sherman looked at the data and said, "Oh, this is really good to know why this approach didn't work." Well, I guess that was good. He suggested it was just time to find another project. Lee Rosenberg listened to my tale of woe and my plans to quit. He smiled and then told a tale about his own first research project and how it totally bombed, how he learned a lot from that, and how it made him a better scientist for the rest of his career. I sought out spiritual advice. I went to my pastor, who happened to be a former NASA engineer, and he reminded me of all the legendary leaders of the faith who had failed utterly in their initial goals, from Moses and Elijah right through to Peter and Paul. And he pointed me to Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. "For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes." Well, gosh, I'd rather be righteous than wicked. I began to see how this setback actually could be survived. So yes, I did find another project, working with Sherman and Bernie Forget on a condition called hereditary persistence of fetal hemoglobin. And eventually I made a small discovery that, to my amazement, 40 years later, is now guiding one of the more creative approaches to cure sickle cell disease using CRISPR and gene editing. So graduates, I tell you of this spectacular early failure because sometimes you may have the impression that everything goes perfectly for people who end up in leadership roles. When your own effort stumbles, maybe you take that as a sign that you're not personally cut out for this. I'm here to tell you that's not true. If you succeed in every effort you undertake, you're probably not working on anything really important. Failure is part of being a physician. It's certainly part of being a scientist or an entrepreneur. And yes, failure hurts a lot, but it's also a gift that you've been given to learn from. Now, because I'm trying to adhere to time limits that respectful commencement speakers are supposed to honor, let me fast forward through the next 3.5 decades to get to COVID. But those 3.5 decades included my first independent position at the University of Michigan, then being asked to come to NIH to direct the Human Genome Project, and then just when I thought I was done with government service, being asked by President Obama to lead the entire NIH, and later being asked by Trump and Biden to stay on. A total of 12 intense years. None of those experiences that I just rattled off would have seemed even remotely possible when I was graduating from medical school. But this kind of nonlinearity is the way it usually goes. Most of the experiences you graduates will have in the future are simply not things you can imagine now. That's okay. Get used to it. Hey, revel in it. You have chances to do things that you probably never dreamed you could. Time will tell. But I want to turn now to the experiences that I had and that all of you had with the epidemic that first showed its signs of emergence in the final days of 2019, COVID. I know this had a profound effect on your medical school experience. At a time where you should have had the opportunity to bond together as a class, learning new and exciting things about the human body, getting your first taste of clinical medicine, spending time together studying or maybe singing karaoke at the bar, you were instead sequestered in safe but lonely spaces, wanting desperately to help with this roiling crisis of the worst pandemic in more than a century, but not yet sufficiently trained at that point to run the ERs and the ICUs that were filling up with sick patients. This had to have been really rough. I am so sorry this happened during your time at Yale. For me and my colleagues at NIH, 2020 and 2021 were the years of no sleep. As the NIH director, it was my job to look across the entire landscape of public and private research capacity and leave no stone unturned to develop vaccines, therapeutics, or diagnostic tests. Every day counted. When that sequence of SARS-CoV-2 first appeared on the internet on January 10th, 2020, we were already all hands on deck. The scientists at the Vaccine Research Center designed the mRNA vaccine that became the Moderna product in 48 hours. The first phase 1 trial that started a breathtaking 63 days later. Working with industry and the FDA in a coalition that I convened, the phase 3 master protocol was ready to launch by July, and more than 30,000 volunteers to whom we all owe a huge debt of gratitude signed up for a rigorous double-blind randomized trial of each of the 4 initial vaccine candidates that were supported by Operation Warp Speed. Can you remember what COVID-19 was like in the early fall of 2020? Thousands of people were dying every day. Some therapeutic benefit for the sickest patients had been shown from trials of remdesivir and steroids, and monoclonal antibodies were showing some promise, but there was no silver bullet to save people desperately ill from COVID-19. The vaccine was our greatest hope. Yet vaccines usually fail. And even when they succeed, rarely have efficacy better than 50 or maybe 60%. A good year for the flu vaccine is about 50%. I work closely with the legendary physician scientist who spoke here last year, Tony Fauci. I was his supervisor. There were few nights where we did not speak to each other. Occasionally, we would speculate about what would be a good outcome for the vaccines. We didn't want to be too optimistic. I hoped for 60%. I think Tony said 70. And then the time came in November 2020 when the results of the Pfizer and Moderna trials were unblinded. The efficacy of both mRNA vaccines in preventing symptomatic illness was above 90%. In preventing hospitalization and death, close to 100%. And in these cohorts of 30,000 or more volunteers, there were no serious safety signals. I will not forget the moment when these results were revealed. I had dared to hope for this kind of answer. I had prayed, and here is the evidence. An astoundingly safe and effective vaccine developed in just 11 months. I was supposed to speak, I could find no words. I just cried. I was sure we were on the right track to beat this coronavirus. And for the next 6 months, as the vaccine rolled out across the country and belatedly across the world, it seemed like science really had triumphed. An estimated 3 million lives have been saved in the US alone. If you were vaccinated, you might have been one of those. One of those might have been me. But by the summer of 2021, it was clear that a lot of Americans were just not convinced that they could trust these vaccines. Not just a few Americans, 50 million. Beset by rumors, conspiracies spread by social media, cable news, and sometimes by politicians, and frustrated by what seemed to be erratic public health recommendations, they basically said, no thanks. The consequences have been utterly heartbreaking. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimates that in the 11 months between June 2021 and April 2022, 11 months, when vaccines were free and widely available, 234,000 unvaccinated Americans lost their lives unnecessarily. That's an astounding number, more than 4 times the American combat deaths in the Vietnam War. These were deaths from science misinformation. I know of no other way to say it, although it sounds harsh. The culture war has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. For all of us devoted to the cause of medicine to prevent disease, reduce suffering, and save lives, this is a wake-up call of the loudest sort. What happened here? First of all, it's much too easy to be dismissive of the motivations and decisions of those who opted out. These were good, honorable people who, for a multitude of reasons, lost trust in the scientific process and chose to pass up a simple intervention that could have saved them. We must never fall into the trap of blaming them. Many books have been written that ought to maybe provide a diagnosis of what happened here. My own book, called The Road to Wisdom, will appear in September and will delve into this in considerable detail, and I won't do that now. But the seeds for distrust and polarization were sown long before COVID-19 appeared on the scene. The stress of the pandemic, though, accelerated our growing social divisions, aided and abetted by some clumsy science communication, and I was sometimes guilty of that, public health missteps, misinformation, disinformation, underfunding of the public health system, vitriolic social media, and a malignant version of partisan politics that all too often ignored facts in order to maximize performance opportunities on cable news. The consequence of this growing distrust of all institutions, including science and medicine, are truly serious for our nation and for our world. Given this disastrous deterioration of public confidence in public health, we are poorly prepared for the next pandemic, and there will be one. Moreover, the greatest challenge to our planet, climate change, also requires a sober consideration of the inescapable facts of global warming and the role of human activity in causing this. And yet there are still significant pockets of denial that are impeding the momentum needed to take action. Turning around this societal malaise will be really hard. I'm not optimistic that solutions will come from our political leaders, as our politics tends to be even more polarized than our citizens. So recovery of a healthy society is actually up to each of us, particularly those of us in the 2/3 of the country that's been described as the exhausted middle. Are you part of that? I think I am. So I would challenge all of us today to a commitment to be part of the solution. That means re-anchoring ourselves in objective truth. Yes, there is such a thing as objective truth. There really are no alternative facts. So let's not take part in distributing information on social media unless you're sure it's true. Have the courage to reach out to friends and family with different views, to listen. I mean, really listen and understand their perspective. I've worked with Braver Angels, an organization, over the last 2 years to do a lot of that listening, and I have learned a ton about how we ended up in such a fractured state. Work with organizations like that. And for our nation, demand that our leaders be persons of character, vision, competence, and integrity. So yes, we should all be worried about the state of society right now. But before I conclude, I want to paint a considerably brighter picture, because that was a little gloomy, about the future of health and medicine, for which this audience is uniquely positioned. Advances I never thought I would see in my lifetime are happening all around us. For 90% of those with cystic fibrosis, the availability of a highly effective oral agent allows planning for retirement instead of planning for an early funeral. The first molecular disease, sickle cell anemia, associated with excruciating pain and suffering and largely neglected over the last more than a century for research, now has 2 FDA-approved gene therapies that provide dramatic benefit, maybe even a cure. Thousands of other rare diseases are now having the promise of benefit from advances in CRISPR-based gene editing strategies, one of those being pursued in my own lab as we seek to mount a clinical trial of in vivo gene editing for the most dramatic form of premature aging, progeria. For cancer, we can now see that stage 4 cancer, in some instances, needs no longer to be a death sentence, thanks to genome-based precision oncology, dramatic advances in cancer immunotherapy, and the rapidly growing field of cancer vaccines. On the prevention side, cancer screening is advancing rapidly to make it possible for early detection to lead to cures, as I have recently experienced in my own diagnosis of prostate cancer. We're in the midst of figuring out the most complex structure in the known universe and how it works. I'm talking about what's between your ears, the human brain. What we learn there will have profound impacts on how we understand and better treat disorders like autism, schizophrenia, bipolar disease, PTSD, Alzheimer's disease, and others. Now, despite the justifiable concerns about potential misuse, generative artificial intelligence is showing enormous promise for medicine. Everything from image interpretation in radiology to profound insights about genome function. So I'm pretty high on that. And though our healthcare system is riddled with inequities, and it is in class of 2024, I hope you're going to work hard on that part, there are some creative ways to address this. I've been charged by the president to lead an administration project that seeks to eliminate hepatitis C, a curable disease, in the United States over the next 5 years. 1 pill a day for 12 weeks, 95% cure, no side effects. But the 4 million people who are currently infected don't have access because they're often in marginalized groups. That is wrong. With bipartisan support now from Senator Cassidy and Senator Van Hollen, we actually have a program that I believe can succeed and save tens of thousands of lives and actually tens of billions of healthcare dollars that won't be necessary for liver transplants and treatment of liver cancer. You can't be opposed to this. But getting it done in the current political system, what could go wrong? Well, yeah, we'll get it done this year. So I've just rattled off a few of the advances in medical research and healthcare that are underway right now. I'm sure you graduates could add many others. In fact, you're working on them. So it's a bit of a ramble of an address, isn't it? I think I've hit on 4 themes. You're supposed to summarize at the end of this what you said so that people don't go like, what was that? So first, failure is an inescapable part of being a physician and a scientist. Don't fear it. Learn from it. I understand your class speaker, Cyrus, a couple of nights ago, emphasized the importance of having anchors to help you through these difficult times. One is to invest in relationships. Be sure to do that. Another, for people like Cyrus and me, is faith. That always helps me regain perspective after disappointments. Sorry. If you haven't explored that side of yourself, this might be a good time to do so. Second theme, your life trajectory is likely to be very different than you expect today. Watch for those doors that open that you don't expect. Don't be shocked when others close. Stay flexible. Third, the gloomy one, our democratic society is currently in a difficult place of polarization, fear, and distrust. The solutions, if they are going to come, must come from each of us. Get engaged. And then fourth, medical research whether in development of vaccines, cures for rare diseases, neuroscience, implementation of precision medicine is at an exponential phase of rapid progress. Breakthroughs are all around us. For those of you with an interest in research, being part of this is going to be a fantastic adventure. So now, graduates and families, it seems fitting to end this address with a brief benediction. I can't do any better than the words delivered at a college graduation 40 years ago by Benedictine Sister Ruth Fox. Here it is. It's a fourfold blessing. May God bless you with discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, and war, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and turn their pain into joy. And then finally, may God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in this world, so that you can do what others claim cannot be done. You probably didn't expect foolishness as a highlight of prayer, but I totally love this. And sometimes we can be way too serious. Hans Christian Andersen says, "Enjoy life. There's plenty of time to be dead." When I first wrote this a few days ago, this is where it ended, but perhaps unwisely encouraged by a few of the graduates at dinner last night, let's finish off this commencement speech with a couple more minutes that you could definitely call foolishness. May I have the guitar, please? All right. And I want to thank John Andrews for letting me put my fingers on his guitar, because I didn't bring my own. Very nice, a Taylor, and it has nice mother of pearl, and all I need is one end to that. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's always bad when you drop somebody else's guitars. And I'm tall, so let's put it at the last space here. It is a little bit shorter than my straps would normally be, but we're going to make it work. And hopefully, since it was in beautiful tune before, it still is. So you want me to go over there. I'm kind of getting that feeling. The only problem is then I need a music stand. Because, can you tell we didn't have a sound check for this part of the event here? Is there a music stand? There was. It's coming. So I want you, as I'm singing this, to turn your own mind back to an earlier point in your training here. Let's say September of 2020. It was a pretty rough time, wasn't it? And we were all trying to figure out how we're going to cope with COVID. And this song is about that time. But when we get to the end, we'll kind of get up to the present. So don't worry, we're not going to get stuck there for the whole song. Hello, Fauci, my old friend. I see you're on the news again. Because around us a plague's creeping across our planet while we're all sleeping. And this virus is called COVID-19. This one is mean like never seen. Coronavirus. That's going to come around again, and next time I want you with me on that coronavirus. Public health is paramount. Wash your hands and don't go out. Got a fever and you start to cough. Got a headache that you can't shake off. Then it's time to head to the car line for a screen. Remember that? COVID-19. This thing is mean. Coronavirus that you're... And drastic measures we must take. The means of transmit we must break. Wear masks, no sports, no meetings. No hugs, no touch, no greetings. Keep your distance and limit all your social calls. Just kill them all. Don't even think about going to the shopping mall. Here we go. Coronavirus. And the people all freaked out. Toilet paper soon sold out. And the parents home with schools closed down found their need for alcohol unsound. And the networks turned out never-ending breaking news. I've got the blues. It's 'cause of you. Coronavirus. Okay, that was 2020. But now, here we are in 24. So the last verse, graduates, is about you. Now you're here in 24. Today's what you've been working for. Through step exams you did prevail. You're a bulldog doc who hails from Yale. Your match was a hit, and now you're moving on. It's a new dawn. But let's all agree, COVID, please be gone. Coronavirus. We've read your genes. Coronavirus. We know your schemes. Coronavirus. But we've got vaccines. Coronavirus. Thank you all. Congratulations.
My goodness. That was fantastic, Dr. Collins. Thank you. Hard to top that, but we now come to the part of the ceremony for which you've been waiting, and that is the conferring of degrees. So we will have Dr. Luzzi and Dr. Kazmierzak join me. The students will be called by their college, and their advisors will read their names. And so I'd like to call up Karen Jabonik to start with the reading of the graduates from the Blue College.
Dr. Hisham Abdu. Dr. Erica Ko Chang Singh. Dr. Pranam Day. Dr. Aiden Gilson. Dr. Joshua Galan. Dr. Michael Kaminsky. Dr. Christina Lepore. Dr. Connor Lewis. Dr. Mara Maaya. Dr. Victoria Marks. Dr. Yolanta Pak. Dr. Emily Park. Dr. Tegan Rohrbaugh. Dr. Josiah Sherman. Dr. To Tran. Dr. Vicky Jiaying Wang. The following graduate is receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. This graduate earned their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. The director of the MD PhD program will be joining Dean Brown on stage as the student is presented with their diploma. Dr. Cheryl Zog. We would also like to recognize the graduate who could not be present, Dr. Sajid Hossein. Now I'd like to introduce the head of the Gold College, Dr. Susan Kashoff, who will present her graduates.
Dr. Chidumebi Favor Alim. Dr. Madeline Jinsuk DiGiovanni. Dr. Daniel Aaron Grubman. Dr. Scott Michael Grubman. Dr. Lauren Catherine Smith. Dr. Wesley Cole Holland. Dr. Adam King. Dr. Emre Kuzultu. Dr. Michael James Murphy. Dr. Carmen Salvador Pajarillo. The following graduate is receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. This graduate earned their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Diana Alejandra Yanez. Now I'd like to introduce the head of Green College, Dr. Patrick O'Connor, who will present his graduates.
Dr. Kaylee Carlson. Dr. Sam Kraft. Dr. Scott Joseph Halperin. Dr. Halperin is accompanied by his daughter. Dr. John Lyon Havlik. Dr. Joshua Joseph Hutler. Dr. Tamar Kamitsky. Dr. Ethan Maas. Dr. Michelle Mashava. Dr. Chandler Julianne McMillan. Dr. Usman Wasim Munir. Dr. Elalyn DeGiffey. Dr. Benjamin Reeves. Dr. Tiana Joe. The following graduates are receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. These graduates earned their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Art and Sciences. Dr. Carrie Ann Flynn. Dr. Corey Lee Orion. Dr. Alyssa Mitzen Salazar. Dr. Cha Zhang. I would now like to introduce the head of Orange College, Dr. Jeanette Tétrault, who will present her graduates.
Dr. Mariana Almeida. Dr. John Andrews. Dr. Bailey Francesca Bacala. Dr. Thomas Chang. Dr. Gabriela de Queiroz Campos. Dr. Michael Hyang. Dr. Chinye Ijeli. Dr. Rachel Jaber Chayeb. Dr. Nabil Kassam. Dr. Ragini Luthra Vaidya. Dr. Jacob Maybe. Dr. Ryan McLean. Dr. Alyssa Ray Morrison. Dr. Claudia C. Dr. Rima Shah. Dr. Zihan Su. Dr. Manson Yu. The following graduates are receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. These graduates earn their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Zach Clues and Dr. Sadie Meller. Doctors Clues and Meller are accompanied by their daughter. We would also like to recognize those graduates who could not be present. Dr. Brett Gu, Dr. Leslie Sang, and Dr. Robert Sang. And now I'd like to introduce Head of Purple College, Dr. Henry Park, who will present his graduates.
Dr. Mira Madhav Dodapkar. Dr. Ganit Singh Janda. Dr. Clara Guo. Dr. Sacha Charles Joseph Hawk. Dr. John Kluger. Dr. Chigozie Conquo. Dr. Amanda Lieberman. Dr. Jameson Omar. Dr. Adil Yazgan. Congrats. Dr. Dana Lee. Congrats. The following graduates are receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. These graduates earned their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Adriana Cherskov. Dr. Tyrone Dispenza Jr., accompanied by his son. Dr. Rachel Teresa Henine. Dr. John Klein. Congrats. Dr. Sahana Krabakaran. Dr. Kingson Lin. Dr. Lexi Suberi, who is accompanied by her daughter. Congrats. And Dr. Ronan Talty. Congrats. And we would also like to recognize the graduate who could not be present, who is Dr. Grant Hygerd Roosley. I'd like to introduce the head of Red College, Dr. Michael O'Brien, who will present his graduates.
Dr. Jem Atilasoy. Dr. Ryan Bahar. Dr. Pratik Boba. Dr. Gloria Chen. Dr. Brandon Hudick. Dr. Erica Huang. Dr. Sameep Kofle. Dr. Kadus Mekbeb. Dr. Divya Ramakrishnan. Dr. Alicia Rose. Dr. Hunter Rose. Dr. Alexander Sassy. Dr. Neil Jung. The following graduates are receiving both the MD and PhD degrees. These graduates have earned their Doctor of Philosophy at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Sean On. Dr. Brooks Leitner. Dr. Ansia Park. Now I'd like to introduce the Associate Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. John Francis, who's going to present the joint degrees.
What a happy day. So at this time, we'd like to acknowledge our other joint degree graduates. To our graduates, please stand when I call your name and remain standing until I kindly ask you to be seated. In addition to their MD degree, the following 9 graduates earned a Master's of Health Science at the Yale School of Medicine. Dr. Mira Madhuv Thorapkar. Dr. Joshua Glan. Dr. Scott Michael Grubman. Dr. Scott Joseph Halprin. Dr. Amanda Lieberman. Dr. Kerus Mekbib. Dr. Divya Ramakrishnan. We would also like to acknowledge 2 students that were not here today, Dr. Leslie Singh and also Dr. Brett Gu. You may be seated. In addition to their MD degree, the following 7 graduates earned a Master's of Business Administration at the Yale School of Management. Dr. Pranam Dey. Dr. Clara Guo. Dr. John Lyon Havlik. Dr. Nabil Kassam. Dr. Ragini Luthra Vaidya. Dr. Claudia C. Dr. Zihan Su. You may be seated. In addition to their MD, the following 4 graduates earned a certificate in global medicine at the Yale School of Medicine. Dr. Chidumebi Alim. Dr. Amanda Lieberman. Dr. Michelle Metezwa Mashaba. And Dr. Jameson Omar. You may be seated. Thank you. This ends our presentation of degrees. Congratulations to the class of 2024. So thank you to everyone before you and also those behind the scenes without whom occasions like this could not happen. Congratulations to all. I want to also let's say a special thank you to Dr. Collins, who last night, in a very impromptu request by our students and by myself, decided to play his guitar today. So let's give him a special thanks. He said that people don't always remember what they hear in a graduation speech. I suspect you will remember him playing his guitar. So I would now like to comment on the Hippocratic Oath and administer their oath to the class of 2024. We have a tradition at Yale School of Medicine. The students in the graduating class write their own oath, recognizing that in the overwhelming spirit of joy and celebration of commencement, graduates may say just about anything you put in front of them. It became important to ensure that they stop and think about these words. Most classes have written an oath that draws heavily on the actual Hippocratic Oath, but each class has seen fit to modify it in some way to get more distinctly at their own values and reflect on their sense of the types of physicians that they would like to be, and the moral commitment that they make as physicians. In addition to considering the traditional Hippocratic Oath, the oaths of past graduating classes, the WHO's Constitution, the Imperial College School of Medicine's declaration of a new doctor, and the inscription above the fireplace of the Cushing Memorial Library, this class met to discuss what individual members considered the most important values to express in their oath. Another tradition that was born several years ago was that students recognized that no single oath could meet the needs of every graduate. Therefore, following the recitation of the oath, we will have a moment of silence, during which time each graduate can make additional pledges themselves. I now call on the graduates to rise and pledge the class of 2024 oath of the Yale physician. After the oath, there will be a moment of silence. Repeat after me. In the tradition of generations of physicians before us, today we enter into an ancient and honorable community of scholars. And we can go forward saying it together. Witnessed by our families, friends, and colleagues, we take this oath freely and upon our honor. We pledge to dedicate our practice of medicine to the sick and vulnerable with a full commitment to the ideal that all humans are deserving of care. We commit to uphold the foundational principles of medical ethics, autonomy, beneficence, non-beneficence, and justice. We pledge to cherish the responsibility to heal those whose care is entrusted to us. We will alleviate suffering when we are able and provide comfort always. We will listen first and counsel second. We will be allies to our patients and our communities in the pursuit of health and well-being. We pledge to respect patients with beliefs and identities. We acknowledge our biases and are mindful of disparities in our healthcare system. We vow to actively challenge institutions, beliefs, and ideologies that threaten the well-being of our patients. We pledge to treasure the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps we walk, and to create and share new knowledge with those who follow. May we freely take and know the rich companionship of others' ordered thought, and seek guidance when we are uncertain. We pledge to advocate for those who are most vulnerable. We recognize our privilege as physicians and our responsibility to work together to create a more just society. We pledge to use our privilege as physicians to advocate against laws and policies that discriminate against or compromise the health and well-being of our patients. We recognize that our patients' health is shaped by social, structural, and political inequalities. We vow to address these injustices in our practice of medicine. Finally, we pledge to attend to our own health, communities, and patients. With this oath, we bind ourselves to each other and to the practice of medicine. And now, a moment of silence. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'd like to thank all of those who made this day possible. Many behind the scenes, our registrar in particular, Terry Tolson, who coached on names. This now brings us to the conclusion of today's celebration. On behalf of Yale and the School of Medicine, I congratulate our newest physicians and alumni of the Yale School of Medicine, and I wish you the very best in your career and lives, and know that you will bring much pride to your families as well as to this school. And importantly, there's lunch. Harkness Lawn for reception. Please join us.